Okay, today is 11/10, November 10th. My blog, diary entry, whatever you want to call it, about my life. And as you can see, it's night, and this little camera, it's impressive for the size, but it just doesn't cut it in extremely dark areas, which most cameras don't, but this tiny little sensor, it's good for what it is, but as you can see, it's pretty damn dark in here, so I got a little LED light, which isn't working that great because it's extremely bright, piercing light, and it's small and two directional, so I need something wider and more diffuse to light up the inside of my car if I want to video myself at night. But I think it'll work, and hopefully you get kind of a side lit, dramatic, high key, I guess, lighting effect. And actually, it's not really high key; it's super dramatic, but whatever. So, anyways. I wanted to continue talking about Brian Longbotham, which I think I could probably sit here for a year straight talking about him and all the things he is involved in doing to my life. So this is a very important topic and something I've wanted to let the world know the truth about him and what he was involved in doing to my life. One of many, obviously. But he is very relevant because coming out of college, just the immense resources he was using to just try to exterminate me, which is pretty damn strange. And as I discussed before, the dynamics and relationships of him in the mainstream entertainment industry, him in the adult industry, him in people before him, like Brian Weaver, starting at the age, I guess, 12 or something like that, working on me, showing that he's not just some crazy psychotic lunatic that was having a bad life and decided he wanted to exterminate Kevin, but it goes from one person sequentially after the next, to the next person, to the next person, to the next person, all told to do the same exact psychological warfare tactics, riling mass worldwide groups against me for some reason, showing that he was probably working with the feds, NSA. He was definitely working with government agencies to try to remove me from society. So while I cannot think of one thing I ever did to Brian Longbotham, just like pretty much everyone else in my life, and when I say that, I'm talking about something like really mean and horrible, not some joking prank like I put my finger on your shirt and said, I can't remember how the stupid thing goes. You put your finger on the shirt and you go like, you got something on your shirt and you flick their nose or something stupid. But in my life, something like that will get you killed with billions of dollars of funding, right? A simple joke. But anyways, so I can't think of anything I've done to Brian Longbotham or anyone else for that matter, but you get the idea. So, I wanted to, I guess, tonight talk about, well, let me start by saying, I mentioned in my earlier entries, blogs, whatever, that Mike Huntley, when I was 14, introduced me to Melody the stripper. And my only connection or relationship to Melody was that I was never friends with this person, but Mike Huntley introduced us and basically said that, hey, Melody, her normal bouncer guy or whatever, was out of town and she's doing some bachelor parties and needed someone to fill in, and so I went to some cheeseball bachelor parties, which I think one of them was like a high school kid getting married, so it was probably a faked, scam anyways, but whatever, and that's it. So I think like a couple of times I bounced for her, and that's it. We were never friends, we were never anything else. Mike told me some stories which I highly doubt are true, like her boyfriend cut her brake lines to her car, and she lived on a hill, and so she got in her car and went down a hill and couldn't stop and got in an accident. And for all I know, he could have been telling the world that I cut her brake lines because he told the world that I tried to choke him when I was joking around with him. So that's the type of person he is, right? Now, what was going on with Melody the stripper? Well, I will tell you what's going on is that my family didn't approve and doesn't approve of those types of people, just as Mike Huntley at something like 29, when the shit hit the fan, he went from I'm your good friend to some kind of into his threatening manner, how he's working with the police and I had better live a careful life and I'm out of control monster and they're using the system against me, with the little papers on my desk about how like South Korea uses psychological warfare to make people mentally ill to control them, which I then find out there's a mass mental illness campaign to kill me, right? What was Mike Huntley doing? If he doesn't like these kinds of people, so to speak, what was he doing with Tim Thompson and everyone else in my life, introducing me to these types of people? Well, obviously what he was doing is kind of like, here, do you want a cookie? And then you go, sure. And then you slap, then you punish the guy. You slap him or beat the shit out of him because he ate the cookie, right? So we're not talking about right or wrong or crimes. We're talking about people with different views or opinions. And my family is beyond any level of squares, or they will not tolerate anything out of something like the 1920s or whatever the hell, where women were told they're not allowed to show the skin on their ankles, right? I mean, that's my family. And so Mike Huntley, obviously at 14 years old, was sent into what? Teach me lessons, right? Well, you associated with a stripper, so this is your punishment, right? Okay, so now we've established behavior that people are sort of told to befriend me and test me with things that the average person really couldn't care less about, but my family does, right? How the NSA, FBI, government, billions of government dollars come into play, well, that's just way beyond me. I can't figure that out. But I'm not going to get to that yet. I'm going to talk about Brian Longbotham and these patterns of behaviors that are identical from one person after the next. So now you get the idea, or you understand what Mike Huntley's doing. Kevin associated with a stripper, therefore at 14, therefore Kevin's a bad seed. So now we gotta punish Kevin, and these punishments are equivalent to locking someone in a 10-foot by 10-foot cage and shoving a cattle prod up their ass for the next 50 years. Okay, they're not like humane punishments, and they're based on me doing nothing wrong. Just a family or a person that doesn't approve of a lifestyle, but no actual crime and nothing immoral. So now that you understand those dynamics, me telling my mother that if she knew of anyone in the entertainment industry, and that I would sweep the floors, in Hollywood, and knowing someone, finding out she knew someone, and then Brian Longbotham becoming my boss, which he was obviously paid off to do a lot more on the side, wasn't really who he said he was. He was more of a jailer doing the same types of things, right? I'm gonna sort of dangle the carrot or test you to see if we need to punish you, that type of thing, right? Except Brian was a little different because, well, actually he wasn't different, but he was more aggressive in the psychological warfare and terror tactics and frame jobs and setups and blah, blah, blah. But, and each person that came in my life kind of got more and more aggressive. Like when they sent Rhodey Morales in my life, he was really aggressive with mass groups and the LAPD trying to get coerced murder confessions, and working with Victoria Walker and Michael Bialis and Mike Huntley and Tim Thompson and all these strippers all across the world and porn stars with these frame jobs and setup operations and you name it, which had always been going on, but he was a lot more aggressive. But anyways, Brian Longbotham was more of the I'm going to contact each billion-dollar entity and turn each one of those against you, right? And so the point I was getting to with Brian Longbotham was I was talking, I think, yesterday about let's see. Oh, I talked about the modern video film jobs, and I talked about the pilots at Universal Studios, the Spy Game and the Hollyweird, and I was mentioning that at the pool hall, Yankee Doodles, which I was tortured to death for 10 years. Well, let's see, 29. Let's say 6 years. Several times a week by hundreds of people coming in per night, with waitress after waitress claiming that I'm somehow harassing them. They even had one waitress named Heather following me to Encino's Starbucks, pretending that she worked in the shopping center, trying to make it look like I was following her. The same types of Kelly Hatch frame jobs, except it didn't work with Heather, like when she told me, oh, hey, you're here at Encino Starbucks, you should come in the store where I work over here. And she had previously established an abusive behavior towards me, so I didn't take the bait and go into the store. Now understanding fully that what she was doing was the hey, go into the store and say hi, and I would have gone into the store, and they would have said, oh, hey, Kevin's following you from place to place. Of course, it didn't work, but it didn't stop them, because what they do is, when they can't set me up successfully or frame me, they make up the lie to cover up the setup attempts. And so it doesn't really matter if I fail their setups. They make up the lie anyways, and because they have propaganda channels to the world in secret, the lies just go to the world anyways. But what I was getting at is that in Yankee Doodles, I was mentioning in my last entry that Holly Body, the porn star, was told to come into Yankee Doodles, play some pool with some other guy on a pool table, and then when they were leaving, she looked at me and she says, weird, right? And then they do their little show Hollyweird with their paranoid schizophrenia tactics, which I wasn't picking up on at the time. And then after this, let me think. Okay, so after Hollyweird, I invited Brian Longbotham to the pool hall, because, I mean, we were friends for 15 years, so why not go play some pool with your friend, right? so Brian notifies someone to play pool by himself on the pool table that Holly Body played on. And we had this big, long conversation about playing pool for money. And keep in mind that, you know, I used to love to play pool. I played pool every day. I played for years. I was never really a hustler because, for me, playing pool is about passion and accomplishment and not a lifestyle to feed myself. And so the majority of my pool was probably a little 9-ball and then straight pool. And anyone that's a pool player knows that straight pool is more of a concentration, a slow concentration game. And it's not about knocking those 9 balls in extremely fast and winning. It is about going as long as you can and maybe running 100 to several hundred balls in a row a turn if you're that good. I was never that good, you know. For me, maybe if I'm lucky, 20 balls in a row, if that. But you know, the good players, they'll run 500 balls a turn, right? And so a completely different game, a completely different mindset. Although back in the early days, straight pool was played for money, but by the hustlers or by the money players. But anyways, needless to say, I wasn't about money. I was about doing things with people and bettering myself and becoming the best I could be at something, just like I'm sure a golfer will spend every weekend of his life trying to hit that ball perfectly or whatever. But you know, and that's what a lot of people do, is in between work they have their hobbies and they want to become good at something. But sorry, gotta be a safe driver, lane switching. So Brian has this guy come into Yankee Doodles. Obviously, I'm not supposed to know this, and I didn't know it at the time because I didn't understand that Brian Longbotham was into these freaky things with conspiracies and mass groups. And Brian says, you know, Kevin, I want to see if you play for money, or how you play for money, or if you can play for money, or whatever. And I say, you know, I really don't. Whatever, if you want me to play the guy for money, you know, whatever. But, and keep in mind, this wasn't like real money or anything. This was like $5 a game or something. So, you know, it was just me fucking around because Brian wanted to see if I could play for money or some cheese dick thing. We're not talking like taking $10,000 off someone playing pool, right? Now, also, I believe I probably had the previous conversations of Brian asking. I can't recall any of this because it's such a trivial thing, but I can tell you that I've had like billions of people worldwide mad at me, sabotaging my life, and then hinting about sharking and that I'm a shark. And so I'm sort of applying this to Brian's actions because I've had this conversation with a lot of people because being a pool player, this is a common conversation, and so most likely I had the conversation with Brian as to what sharking is, which is basically people that, you know, I feel they're pretty pathetic that do this, but that, for example, if you're playing for money or something serious, the guy that sharks you is the guy that does whatever it takes to break your concentration instead of winning the game, right? And generally, you know, most people like to play games and win because they win because they're better, and they win because they have skill and talent, and not because they had to sabotage the other person. Hence, sharking, which is trying to figure out ways to make the guy miss the shots in a pathetic way because they don't have the skills to win, right? And so, most likely I had this sharking conversation with Brian, and so Brian says, do you want to, or, I want to see you play this guy for money, and I play the guy for like $5 a game or some cheeseball thing like this, and I beat the guy. But I can recall when I was playing the guy, Brian takes my pool cue, and he like hides it across the room. Some juvenile. I mean, this guy is like 50 or 60 years old back then, and he's doing this weird juvenile thing of hiding my cue across the room. And I'm like, where the fuck's my cue? And whatever. To him, it was funny. To me, it was kind of like, that's cheeseball, whatever the fuck. But okay. So, anyways, the guy was playing pool on the same table, I think I mentioned this, as Holly Body. After this, Brian says, let's go get some food. And so he wants to go to Sharkies, right? Of course, I'm not making the connection between Sharkies restaurant, the Mexican restaurant Sharkies, which I've been endlessly harassed at there with every other restaurant for doing something wrong because of their name or something, I don't know. And so we go to Sharkies, and Alexis Amore is there eating with her mother. And we eat, and I recognize her, and I go, and I say hi, but she doesn't recognize me, so I leave it at that. I don't want to be pushy, but I haven't given you the context of the whole Alexis Amore situation yet, and that goes back before this, but, and I'm going to get to that, but, so, you get the idea. We have Alexis Amore, a Hispanic porn star and model, and she's obviously waiting for me and contacted and told to wait for me at Sharkies, this is right after playing on the pool table that Holly Body, who said weird, and then he hired me for the pilot, Holly Weird, right, to try to send me these schizophrenia messages. And so, apparently he must have been hinting that Alexis is sharking me or something. I mean, I don't know. You don't really know what these messages mean. You just know that some psychotic murderer is sending you hidden messages, and they won't stop, right? Why do people sit there and try to send someone hidden messages all day and night? Well, to turn them into a schizophrenic, right? Or a paranoid schizophrenic, or in this case with the LAPD, to try to turn me into a 5150 violent paranoid schizo to remove me from society. But anyways, so now you're starting to see these connections with people in the adult industry and the mainstream industry. And Brian Longbotham involved, and Mike Huntley as well involved, starting at 14, with these people that are apparently beyond any level of irate with me for reasons I cannot comprehend, although they're trying to spin things like, well, you watched my shit on the internet for free and you didn't pay me, which doesn't make any sense because that's like 90% of the world, and the bottom line is if you want to be a porn star or an actor and you get mad that the internet exists and people are seeing your shit for free, then you have no business being a porn star or an actor or anything, even an artist, where you put up a website and someone sees your photography and you're like, you didn't pay me so I'm gonna kill you, is kind of like, you have no business being whatever, out anywhere where people can see your crap if you can't deal with the reality of life and how the life works. But anyways, so that is one of their excuses is, well, you've seen my shit for free, so we're going to fucking rid you of the world with every resource known to man. But that also goes on par with the, you went to a coffee shop and you rested your feet up on a chair while reading books, and that's inappropriate behavior, so we're going to hunt you down and kill you with worldwide support. Doesn't make any sense. That's like, you farted, that's a crime, so you're going to be killed with worldwide support. Doesn't make any sense. So anyways, so usually when these people are trying to justify their actions, they're usually psychotic behaviors of things that most people really couldn't care less about. But anyways, and the fact that worldwide groups are helping try to remove me from society doesn't make any rational or logical sense. So it's obviously not about the things they say or hint. But anyways, so you can see the dynamics and connections between the entertainment industry and the adult industry and Brian Longbotham. Now I'm going to back up to Rhodey Morales and the Spearmint Rhino in Van Nuys. Now, remember, these are completely different people in all these events, and each one of these people, they don't know each other. Example, Mike Huntley is not friends with Brian Longbotham. Alexis Amore is not friends with Brian Longbotham. Rhodey Morales is not friends with Brian Longbotham. But behind the scenes, they're all communicating together, and these communication tools are internet-based and worldwide, meaning that if someone talks to me in downtown LA where I've never been, or even Wisconsin or Nebraska or New Mexico or even Mexico, Sweden, whatever, they will instantly have communication with mass groups anywhere across the world and be able to, behind my back and behind the scenes, coordinate these operations. So what that means is, even though Brian Longbotham is not friends with Mike Huntley, there was a line of communication between Tim Thompson, who worked at Hot Body International, who befriended me at Yankee Doodles, who was introduced to me through a pool player I met in Colorado named Steve McPike, that I found out was involved in all these stalking operations, right? And so all these people behind my back in secret were in communication. So now, let's go back a few years prior, and Mike Huntley wants me to... Mike Huntley knew that I had been working out at gyms on and off my entire life since 14, and these are completely different topics of their psychotic behaviors and them being mad at me for being healthy and working out and starting to lift weights at 14. But that's for a whole nother conversation. Mike Huntley, I'd moved back from Colorado. Mike Huntley wanted to start a company with me for 6 years. We called Signet. Mike Huntley wanted me to watch this weightlifting promo video where these people, it was some kind of weightlifting or not weightlifting, but exercise gym promotional video where there was a contest and people changed their lives, and everyone competed, but it wasn't really about competing. It was about everyone overcoming hurdles and changing their lives and this and that. And so Mike Huntley wanted to join the gym by my house and do it, and I said, well, I'll join the gym with you, but I don't need to do that whole weird competition thing, but I'll lift with you because I love being healthy and lifting, and I feel good when I lift, and this, that, blah, blah, blah. The same reason everyone goes to the gym, except my family went ballistic on me, saying because I went to the gym 4 days a week, I suffer from OCD and I'm crazy, which doesn't make any damn sense. And I can't imagine anyone being that gullible to believe it, hence worldwide groups telling me I'm not allowed to go to any gym worldwide. Doesn't make any sense, even if some crazy psychoneurotic family says that he has OCD for going to the gym 4 days a month. Nobody's going to believe that shit. So the reason that they were stalking me was for other reasons, right? But anyways, so Rody Morales comes in my life. Okay, so Mike Huntley says we're going to sign up to, I think it might have been Gold's or World's gym by my house, like walking distance. And I go to the gym for a couple of years or whatever. There's a few incidences where Mike Huntley starts provoking one of the kids from my high school, or I think it was the younger brother of a kid that was in my grade. For some reason, Mike Huntley was provoking, and I kind of jumped in between them and stopped the fight because I don't know what the hell was going on, but it was strange to me, and I just stopped the fight. But obviously, you can tell now it was staged, and they were working on some angle on something they accused me of in high school. But I'm trying to remember his name. Oh, I think it was Chris Cosma's younger brother, and I was never friends with Chris Cosma at Calabasas High. He was on a whole different clique, but I think it was Chris Cosma's younger brother, and there was some weird where Mike Huntley was making weird, like, animal noises or something, trying to provoke the guy, I don't know, and they got in a big old fight, and I just stopped. I just jumped in between and stopped it, but whatever. At that point, Mike stopped going to the gym, but when Mike signed up to the gym, he signed up with Rody Morales, the gym manager. Now, the reason he did this, which I obviously didn't know was going on at the time, was because he wanted to get Rody close to me so that Rody could befriend me. And so Rody, he eventually befriends me, and let me think. He wanted to give me a shirt, and I believe the shirt... Wait. I don't remember. He wanted to give me some shirt, sort of trying to be friendly, but I think what was on the shirt was some kind of thing to try to make me look crazy and like paranoid schizo. And this happened several times. My stepfather also gave me a shirt that was an Arnold Schwarzenegger, Simon Wiesenthal, Arnold Schwarzenegger of the famous giant ape lifting on top of the earth, which they then started telling everyone that I think I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger, where my stepfather, Arnold Silber, wanted to show me Shotzi's restaurant down at Venice Beach, owned by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then later on Victoria Walker and Matt Von Malachy wanted to take me there every once a month for cigar night. At Shotzi's restaurant, you can now starting to see these coincidences where all sorts of things with the people from the gym were being done to me, and all these setups and frame jobs. And the reason they chose Shotzi's restaurant all links back to my father putting the bullet hole in his 300E Mercedes when I was 16, and the watercolor pictures of me painting the Grateful Dead watercolor picture with the skull with the cowboy hat pointing the gun, which they then put the bullet hole in the car after, which links to the movie Wizards and the ending when I was 5 years old, where the wizard kills the evil wizard with a gun. Whatever. Obviously, I'm going into a complete tangent, and that's because all these things are linked. But anyways, back to the gym and Rody. So while I'm getting in deeper and deeper with Rody and all these things that are going on, and I really haven't even touched the surface with Rody, basically, it was a setup so that Rody could meet me, and set me up and frame me like everyone else. Now, Roadie's setups, just like Brian Longbotham's, were endless. Setup attempts and frame jobs were endless, just like Brian Longbotham's, and obviously all working together. But one of Roadie's setup operations or frame job operations was to say, Kevin, let's go to strip clubs. Roadie likes strip clubs. Well, whatever. Everyone knows Kevin Perlman loves that shit, and so what, right? Whatever. Strip clubs are harmless, right? And so I understand that the average person doesn't go to strip clubs and whatever, but the average person isn't a swinger or gay or even a transvestite or anything, but that doesn't mean that they're crimes, right? And so it's not the worst thing in the world for someone to say, let's go to strip clubs and hang out at some strip clubs. It's not a big deal. But what I can tell you is that, oddly enough, from the age 20 to about 27, person after person wanted to come in my life and go to strip clubs. And that's pretty strange to me that it wasn't, these people seem, they all had agendas, right? For example, one of the people who've been stalking me my entire life's name is Eric Christensen. And Eric, I'm not sure if I mentioned in my earlier videos, I think I did with Eric Christensen. I met at Southern Oregon State College, and he befriended me after they didn't like my Lord's Gym t-shirt I bought downtown in Ashland, Oregon, and he and Sherry Christensen befriended me at the same exact time to try to turn me into a schizo, working on me and then sleeping with all the girls I liked, and said he wanted to go to strip clubs with me, right? Val Moroso, a Russian exchange student in the University of Colorado, wanted to start a company with me, a web design company with me, and we did, and he wanted to go to strip clubs, right? And so we went to a few strip clubs, and whatever. Not really a big deal, except for he turned out to be a douchebag, a stalking douchebag, and I saw the signs, and and when it hit the point where he wanted me to do all the work at the company, and he didn't want to do anything, I said something to him, and at that point he just disappeared, right? Tom Farley, Roadie Morales back in California wanted to take me to strip clubs, right? All of these people had agendas, right? They didn't just want to go to strip clubs. Now my family will try to pitch it as, well, you're associating with shady people, therefore you did this to your life. But that's not the case, okay? There are people that go to strip clubs, or swingers, or strippers, or porn stars, or into a more open-minded lifestyle, and I can guarantee you what's happening to my life is not happening to them. And I am one of the select few, if not only, someone is being hunted in secret with worldwide operations is unheard of. Over, oh, well, hey, you went to a strip club. Whatever. Doesn't make any sense, like everything else. But, so anyways, Roadie Morales was the fourth, I believe, person that wanted to take me to strip clubs and frame me, and I'm not in this segment going to get into all the freaky things that were connected with Victoria Walker, asking me to go to websites while my computer was and still is being tracked, to show the world or make it look to the world like something's going on that's not, with strippers like Stephania and things like this. I'm going to try to stick to Alexis Amore, but as you can see, when I'm talking, that I go from one person to the next, because these setups and frame jobs aren't like a once a year thing here, or a once every 10-year thing here. They're pretty much all day and night, every day of my life, from person to person. So you understand that Kevin Perlman's lifestyle is one person sequentially after the next, worldwide, in a mass worldwide conspiracy, trying to figure out how to rid him of the world. Hence why my conversations aren't simple conversations like the average person, because the events in my life are so complex and they are interlinked. One situation might involve 100 to 1,000 different people working on me, all strangers, right? So these aren't normal events, and people have tried to make it look like my mind races and I can't stay on topic, but that's not the case. The case is that the situation is unheard of. So anyways, Rody Morales wants to take me to strip clubs. Sure, yeah, I could have said that, but you never would have understood the complexities behind it. Rody Morales wanted to take me to strip clubs, so I said sure. The first strip club he wanted to take me to, and he wanted to go to strip clubs all over, and I said, yeah, sure, great, I love hot chicks. Everyone loves hot chicks. I don't care if some dude's married with 100 kids, he loves hot chicks. He's just not going to say it, and he's going to be afraid to say it, because he has his reputation to protect and his family, and that makes sense. And even if he's single, most people are afraid to just be themselves and say, I like fucking hot chicks, and I like hot chicks that swing around poles, because they're afraid to admit the shit they like, because they're afraid of the peer pressure, right? I'm not afraid to say it, whatever. I like fucking hot chicks. Doesn't mean I'm a horrible, mean asshole. I just like hot chicks, and I'm open-minded and friendly with everyone, whether they're hot chicks or not. I'm just not friendly with people that are abusive towards me. So anyways, sorry, getting my thoughts because I've unloaded a lot. So anyways, Rody, the first strip club Rody wants to go to is Spearmint Rhino in Oxnard, and there's no doubt in my mind that he had all sorts of schizophrenia tactics they were working on with rhinos and all sorts of shit. They even were trying to get confessions telling me that he knew a guy that wanted to put cameras in gym bike seats or something like this to try to see, who knows, I think he was trying to see if I had a hard-on when I was riding exercise bikes or shit like that. So that he staged this whole elaborate operation for me to meet some guy with a website about cameras in bicycle seats, where I never really told him whether I was going to do it or not, but I said I'd meet the guy and listen to what he said, and then of course the guy never showed up or this or that, some kind of frame job operation to attack my credibility or whatever. Either way, we started going to Spearmint Rhino, no big deal, and at that point, because Rody knew what I liked, and I think three other people in my past worked on me with the strip club things, and I remember Rody asking some weird interrogating questions about have I ever been to strip clubs before in such a way that seemed interrogating now looking back. Whatever, I have no problem with it. I love that scene. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I understand that most people can't deal with it, but whatever. So anyways, I started going to strip clubs. He kind of got me hooked on the whole Spearmint Rhino thing, and other strip clubs. And while, like everything in life, I was the nicest, friendliest person known to man, despite what everyone's saying, there were all sorts of frame jobs and psychological warfare operations and setups, and it had nothing to do with the shady people. It had to do, or I should say the shady lifestyles, I should say it had to do with something much bigger, because the same things have been done to me my entire life, whether I'm in a coffee shop, I'm in a college class, I'm in middle school classes, high school classes, right? So it's fair to say if everything you do isn't in some kind of adult industry environment and in some normal mainstream environment, people are trying to set you up, frame you, teachers trying to get you to hit students and things like that, then it's fair to say this has nothing to do with things like strip clubs or porn or the porn industry. It has to do with something bigger and the government wanting to just exterminate me. But and at the same time attack my credibility using shady environments. But okay, so yeah, I know I've deviated for a half an hour from the Alexis more, but you need to understand the background behind the situation, so you can't just go, oh, this guy's just throwing names out and pointing fingers. Okay, so who knows how many hundreds of girls I associated with at strip clubs, and was obviously never friends with them or anything. One of those women were Alexis Amore, who I didn't know it at the time, followed me to the Oxnard, on Oxnard, Van Nuys Spearmint Rhino on Oxnard. So after I started going there for a short while, Alexis Amore shows up, and she was very professional and very friendly. I'm not going to lie about that. Hold on, heavy traffic. Okay, so anyways, she was very professional. She was very friendly. She was very warm. She's a very talented dancer. She's a very talented porn star. I will not lie about any of those things. She was straight to business. For example, well, a lot of the strippers would talk to me for an hour, which obviously I had no problem with a stripper who would sit there, talk to me for an hour straight, and then only maybe make $100, which is actually pretty damn good profit if you think about it. She gets maybe 5 lap dances, so she makes $100 for working a total of maybe 10 minutes tops, so $100 for 10 minutes of work, but really she puts in the hour of talking. Is still pretty damn good, because the average person makes minimum wage or higher, which is whatever, starting, it used to be like $8.25, it's a lot higher now, but whatever. Even someone that gets paid $30 or $40 an hour, you're talking about a girl that made $100 an hour, right? So makes sense. But either way, you get the point. She didn't really talk much. She didn't really want to sit there and talk. She was straight to the point. Hey, if you want a lap dance, whatever, sure. And she didn't like to talk, but she was always friendly with a smile and polite. And I will not deny any of that. And at one point, I don't know if she was trying to test me or what, joking around, and she said, you know, you want a 5-for-1 lap dance, which I actually have joking YouTubes up on the internet about 5-for-1s, because if anyone's been in the strip club scene, you know that 2-for-1s are really, they like cut the song in half. So really, like a 2-for-1 is the same as a single lap dance, right? That's the con. Well, the joke was, well, if you take a song and you cut it, if you cut it up 5 times and tell someone to give them a 5-for-1, well, the song length is like extremely short, right? It just goes bleep, 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 bleep. But so to me that's funny. But she wanted a 5-for-1, and I got a 5-for-1, and who knows if she's running around saying this guy's crazy or not? Whatever. Okay, so in my mind, she was very straight, professional, to the point. I even offered to do a website with her, which I offered all sorts of people because I was already doing adult websites. And I'm not going to tell you that I was like the top dog in adult website production or anything, but I was a guy who was getting into adult websites. I had built several websites later on. I think after that, I built large database systems. Hold on, we got bad drivers here. I was building large-scale database, adult database systems never done before, kind of like a Facebook of adult websites back in the day, where MySpace was just getting started and nothing like that was really around back then. Now, I can assure you there's probably 100 million of them now that .NET Code Foundation is around and it's easy for people to do and whatever. But, so you get the idea. While these people were running around saying I'm a fake and a fraud and just trying to get laid and this and that, I was working my ass off building huge adult web systems or adult web systems. It never really went anywhere because I was a one-man show and the people, my so-called friends like Mike Huntley and business partner, who said they wanted to do adult websites, like Tim Thompson saying, Kevin, we should do adult websites, were doing the same old, Kevin, let's do adult websites, now I'm going to hunt you down and kill you in punishment for doing adult websites, right? So you get the idea. One man by himself really in business can't accomplish much, okay? That's not how business operates. You need employees, you need people to work with you, you need people on the same wavelength and page that are going to help accomplish things, whether it be business partners or employees you're working with. You can't do it by yourself. It's just impossible. So the people that I was trying to accomplish these things with were actually telling everyone that I was a fraud trying to meet women and things like that, while at the same time saying, Kevin, let's build adult websites, right? Even Rhodey that said, Kevin, you know, I know a lot of strippers and porn stars that need adult websites, and it turned around that he was just trying to frame me and set me up and this and that. So, whatever. So that was one of the things that was done to me, and obviously working with my family and to stop anything like that from happening, but of course it just jumps from thing to thing on things that have nothing to do with it all websites. Anyway, so and obviously the reason I expanded on that was because there's a lot of talk of how I think Alexis Amore is my friend and I'm crazy and I was trying to scam her with adult websites and this and that, and so that was, and those are all cover-ups. Those are all cover-up lies to curve people from understanding what really went down. So needless to say, Alexis Amore was a regular at the Spearmint Rhino Oxnard and a very pretty Peruvian. I'm not going to lie to you about that, but of course if you're a stripper you gotta be good looking or you're not gonna make any money. But so whatever, Alexis Amore didn't want to do the website. She wasn't very talkative, she was very professional. I had nothing against her at all, any way, shape or form. While they're trying to make it look like I was totally obsessed with Alexis Amore, that as well is a complete blatant lie, because Alexis Amore was just a number to me, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say that, but when you're in a strip club environment or that industry, you gotta realize that everyone's there to make money, and no one's really getting attached because it's bad for the men, it's bad for the women. It's actually really bad for the men because the men just get their wallet drained, and it's bad for the women because they start focusing on the wrong things and they don't make the money, right? Whatever. And really, if I was obsessed with Alexis Amore, I wouldn't have had that crush, or whatever you call it, on Mila, where I finally, after 10 years of strip clubs, kind of broke and started liking a stripper, and let my emotions take over, whatever. Which, I'm not getting into that one where Adriana Alvarez with my family was telling the world that I was stalking Mila as cover-up operations for all sorts of things that they were involved in. But whatever, I'm not going on. That's for a complete other conversation. But my point is that while people are trying to claim that I was obsessed with Alexis Amore, she was just another stripper that was told to follow me to the Oxnard Spearmint Rhino, working some angle. I don't know what they wanted because none of them really made much money from me. You know, they made small amounts, like Alexis might have made $60 or $100 every time I got lap dances from her, and maybe that was once a month or something. I mean, really, she's not making much off me, right? So I'm not the sugar daddy or anything, right? And she's not there, she wasn't there talking to me like the other girls for hours on hours. So I can't tell you, but I can just tell you she was a very pretty girl, which was a really talented dancer, and did some stage work above and beyond the other girls. And I thought she was a very professional person with a good vibe, which everyone worldwide now jokes with the vibe comments and says I'm imagining it and nobody knows me, while joking with the vibe comments after I said she gave me a good vibe. And that was that. So keep in mind the time frame that Alexis Amore going to the Oxnard Rhino, that was before Sharkies restaurant, right? So Rody Morales comes in, let's go to strip clubs. The first one he started working on was Spearmint Rhino Van Nuys. Alexis Amore shows up. You know, I probably went there for a couple of years or something. Alexis Amore shows up. She becomes a regular. I'm sure I probably knew her from her porn crap, whatever. I can't remember back then. You know, there were a lot of women, and there were a lot of porn stars, and there were a lot of strippers, and there were a lot of stripper/porn stars, and whatever. You know, I just stayed professional. And so I never really asked them out. I tried not to cross the boundaries. I was very professional, very friendly, whatever. Despite what everyone's saying, I'm a horrible, mean, abusive asshole. I don't even know where that even comes from. Or I should say I do now know where it comes from. It comes from, like I was discussing before in my other entries, it comes from the movie Creepshow at the age 12, right? But other than that, Kevin Perlman being an asshole is complete fiction and the opposite of how I treated people. Okay, so she follows me to the Rhino, and who knows what the time period is. That could have been like a year or something. It could have been longer, you know. And in strip clubs, it's weird, you know. You just see people that you've gotten dances with, but you let them work, and you're not friends, but you sort of are friendly or whatever, right? So you're not violating boundaries. You're friendly, and you just keep it professional, and everyone's happy, right? Okay. So, anyways, I believe there's a certain point where I stopped going to strip clubs because I just felt like, whatever, you know, been there, done that. It's the same old thing. I know how my family is, and the people around me sort of try to play this game by telling everyone that I get really mad and then give up or something. For example, I'm pretty sure that they were saying when I stopped going to strip clubs that Kevin was angry and bipolar and this, and he threw in the towel. This weird, like, the thing that Steve McPike was doing to me. For example, he was playing pool, and then he played some guy for money, and then he couldn't beat the guy, and then he goes to the polar opposite, where he gives away his, like, $2,000 pool cue to some random guy, right? Like the polar, they're trying to make it look like Kevin gave up, got frustrated, has no self-control, has all sorts of psychological issues and this and that, right? But that's not what happened. What happened was, like usual, I just said to myself, I've been doing this for a while, and, it's kind of boring, it's kind of the same old thing, and whatever. And I think I took, like, a several-year break or something because it was just the same old thing. But so while I stopped going to strip clubs, Tim Thompson, who supposedly did some IT work for Hot Body International, which Alexis Amore did a lot of jobs for Hot Body International, and Tim Thompson in our office had a whole bunch of Hot Body International video box covers sitting by his desk for some reason, and on the top of the box was Alexis Amore, right? And there's no doubt in my mind that there was a reason he had Alexis Amore's box cover on the top, and Alexis Amore started following me to the Van Nuys Spearmint Rhino, which I had no clue of. And then, of course, obviously, the Brian Longbotham thing, where we play pool on the Hollyweird table, and then we go to Sharkies, and Alexis Amore there is sending me hidden messages about sharks or sharking. And so you can kind of, if you want to put the suggestive math together, it's like a little hidden message that I'm sharking you, right? Now, whether that is or isn't, I can't tell you. All I can really tell you is there is a worldwide campaign to put me in the ground. Obviously, now knowing that I've been known for worldwide way before that, approaching Alexis Amore and saying hi and her pretending she didn't recognize me was obviously intentional. Therefore, you get the idea, right? Now you sort of have to question things, right? Okay, but it doesn't end here. Okay, now keep in mind, I don't really have these puzzle pieces together. I have no clue this is going on, right? I just know I got to think of the time frame. I don't think at this point, I think this is before 29, before I flipped out and found out all these people wanted me dead. But basically, at 29, okay, so Sharkies, I see at Sharkies, she pretends she doesn't recognize me. That's that. I'm as nice as polite as can be. At one period of time, I think after 29, I add her to my social network accounts, like 100 million other people. Once again, she's just kind of a number, and but I don't know the things going on. So after this, I'm sort of time frame skipping. So let me go back. So after the Sharkies incident, and I'm not going to pool halls I'm not going to strip clubs for a while. Tim Thompson in my office says, Kevin, there's a phone call. Tim Thompson has the Alexis Amore box covers, which I'm subliminally noticing but not putting any type of pieces together. And Tim Thompson says, Kevin, there's a phone call. I pick up the phone. It's the manager of the Los Angeles Spearmint Rhino, which I was at once with Rody Morales. And I say, this is Kevin, and he says, I didn't call you. I said, oh, that's weird. But as long as I have you on the phone, let me ask you a question, which is also pretty weird. So I can't tell you if they called me or they're just, they're both screwing with me or what. But needless to say, we have a long conversation about Citrix thin client computer networking solutions. And he wants me to come down to the Los Angeles Spearmint Rhino. And I do. And I check out their computer network. And we talk about some things, I think, for possible future jobs. And after that's done with, I kind of go down outside of the management office and decide, maybe I'll hang out for a few and maybe get a lap dance and talk to some pretty strippers, which my family can't deal with. And Alexis Amore is working there, down at the LA Spearmint Rhino, right, after following me to the Oxnard Rhino, which I don't think anything of it. I'm not in some kind of paranoid state like strippers are following me and blah blah blah, right? And so I'm thinking, Alexis Amore is here, and so I'll get a lap dance. Why not? Like, she was always professional. Get a lap dance. And so I go to get a lap dance from Alexis Amore, but for some strange reason, she has this look on her face like she's just freaked the fuck out, right? Her face is just like she's scared. I can't tell you the whys. There could be 100 million different things. She could have made up some lies about me, and then the manager said, I'm going to check Kevin out, and then the manager checks Kevin out, and she says he's on the level, or it could have been she's just paranoid and thinks I'm following her, but I don't think so, because if she's working with Brian Longbotham, then obviously she knows I'm not following her, but at the same time, maybe she thinks I know what she's up to, right? And that would explain everything. Needless to say, at that point, I had no concept of anything, and I think this is before 29 and me finding out that something was very wrong. But you can see this pattern of behavior, right? So then after this, because I'm following her on her social networks with 100 million other people are running around saying that I'm stalking Alexis Amore, right? Which I didn't know what was being said. I was just watching people's reactions in an angry rage at Kevin Perlman. So let me try to reiterate from my perception at that point, so you understand what was going on in my brain at that point. You meet a very good-looking, hot professional stripper at a strip club. It doesn't want to do a website. You don't care. You see him at Sharkies restaurant. You say hi. They pretend they don't know you. You don't really care. Or you stay professional, right? Because it's not a big deal. You see him at the LA Spearmint Rhino, and they have a really freaked out look, but you don't know why. And so, whatever, maybe this person has issues or whatever. It's not really your concern because you don't know them. right? So you can't really have a personal conversation with them because you don't know them, right? So, and that's pretty much it. Oh, and then they're on their social networks, and you're starting to watch all this backlash on the internet of people who want you dead, but you don't really understand what the hell's going on. So, it's not about Alexis, obviously, any of her negativity, and so, you know, that's that. In my mind, I didn't think anything was going. I think at the point I am now at in what I'm talking about, I think at that point might be right after 29 and me finding out all sorts of freaky things are going on, but not understanding it, and watching everyone in an angry rage at me, right? So, for example, I'm watching millions of people on the internet attacking me, not knowing what the hell's going on or what it's about, but people are saying I'm stalking Alexis Amore and I'm obsessed with her and this and that, and then things get really weird, because at this point I can't comprehend what the hell is going on, and this goes on for several years, because nothing is directly said on any level to me at all, and still hasn't. 17 or 18 years later, not one person has had a mature adult conversation about my life or what actually happened. I have only been told that I better not say anything about what's been done to my life or I'm dead. And so, still back then, a couple of years into it, I had no clue what was going on. I was just kind of freaked the hell out at this point, but still trying to start my life over. And so at this point, I can recall saying, okay, well, Adult Con is going to be around at the LA Convention Center. I'm getting into studio photography, and you know, I'll go down there. I love this scene. I was there once with Rhodey Morales, which all sorts of shit was being done to me, and I didn't even know what the hell was going on. For example, remember earlier I spoke about Val Morozo, the Russian exchange student at the University of Colorado, and he wanted to start a company with me and go to strip clubs. Well, Rhodey Morales, who also wanted to go to strip clubs, from Los Angeles, Woodland Hills, California, completely separate person, who should have nothing to do with Russian exchange students, said, Kevin, let's go to Adult Con, and we go to Adult Con, and as we're about to go into Adult Con, Val Moroso calls me up on the phone, someone who I never really stayed in touch with, and basically wants to reconnect years later. Coincidentally, right at the same time, I'm going to the strip club, or with another guy that wants to take me to strip clubs, right? I mean, right there, what are the chances of that coincidence, right? So now you know those two are working together on something. With Brian Longbotham, needless to say, going to Adult Con, at that time, with the first Adult Con I went to with Rhodey Morales, I didn't know what the hell was going on. Oh, I wasn't even that mindset. They hadn't flipped me out yet. But at the first point, so at that point I didn't know what was going on. But the second Adult Con I was going to years later, I noticed that on the list, and I wasn't looking for it, but Alexis Amore wasn't going to be there, and I wasn't planning to go because of Alexis Amore. I was planning to go to an adult convention because it's an adult convention with people in that industry. So I go to the convention, or right before I go to the convention, and keep in mind my computer was being tracked since 1994, so everyone knows where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do before I do it. For example, if I type in, I'm going to go to the Museum of Modern Art, and the directions, people will show up at the Museum of Modern Art at the same time or before, to try to flip me out or stalk me or things like that, right? So, that being said, Alexis Amore, which these groups seem to have tabs on every aspect aspect of what I do, and seem to be interlinked with NSA and FBI operations, know where I'm going to go. So that being said, I type in AdultCon, I get the dates. Instantly, Alexis Amore at that point says, I'm going to go to AdultCon in this booth with my friend's booth or whatever, right? Now, I go to AdultCon, and of course, it's the same old game where I'm going to show up before you, like Kelly Hatch, and say that you're stalking me, right? Now, I go to AdultCon, I can recall, and like usual, the friendliest person known to man. And I can recall everyone beyond any level of an angry rage at me, which is still going on. But like usual, no actual reason behind it, right? I can recall giving my photography card to a girl that did body painting because I wanted to do some of my green screen work with body painted women, which I thought would be really cool, doing 3D animation, like 3D visual or 3D graphics with body painted girls on total fantasy surrealistic scenes was totally up my alley. And I can remember giving that girl a card and just beyond any level of pissed off at me known to man. I can remember buying a shirt with like a poker card on it, and the shirt people were attacking me in an angry rage. I can remember going to Yurzon Beltran's booth and not saying one mean thing at all, but not only that, I can recall I didn't really say much to her at all, actually. I walked up to her booth and I said, "Oh, you're sweet, Yurzon." I said, "Oh, this is your card, I'll check out your website," and that was it. And I walked to a different booth and she had this scared look on her face, right? Like, okay, I've never seen this person before in my life. She has this scared, freaked out look on her face. So, I'm wondering what the hell's going on. And each one of these people that I did absolutely nothing to was the friendliest person. Like usual, I was met with anger, rage, backlash, and endless lies how I did all these horrible things to them, right? Doesn't really make much sense. I think I went up to Alexis Amore's booth, and I went up to Alexis Amore's booth, being very friendly, like usual, and the person in the booth with her, for some reason, says, well, go to Jalen Rio's booth and get a lap dance, right? And that is connected with a psycho stripper named, who called herself Rio at Foreplay, who was jamming her hip into me, hinting that I was digging for information for simply getting a lap dance from her. Whatever. So you get the idea, all these weird, freaky things are going on based on thin air, but nothing has ever happened. Like, I haven't walked up and been a horrible, mean monster and said horrible, mean things and hit women or done this or done that, right? They're all based on, like, you farted wrong or you blinked wrong. Okay, so anyways, even though I've totally deviated from Brian Longbotham to Alexis Amore, the point I'm getting at is that by me not doing anything wrong and doing the same thing as everyone else, whether they're in the adult industry, whether they're fans, whether they're part fan in the adult industry and part work or whatever, because that's the way life usually is. You get into an industry and then you have a social life on the side within the industry, and so you get the idea. My life, I'm told everything has to be perfect and black and white. There's no such thing as blurring the lines. or you're a dead man. Things that don't apply to the rest of the world. But, life is gray, and I'm told that life is really black and white. But, anyways, back to the point. The point is that for some reason, by not doing anything to Alexis Amore, the world's told that I'm, and keep in mind, when I say the world, I mean literally the world, means that I'm crazy. I think Alexis Amore is my friend. I'm stalking Alexis Amore by following her from place to place. We got Tim Thompson putting the box covers on the desk, who wants to build adult websites with me, but when the shit hits the fan, he gets mad at me in an angry voice and says, well, you built adult websites, didn't you? Trying to set me up or punish me for building adult websites when wanting to do them with me, who is working with Hot Body International, who does a lot of Alexis Amore's photography, to Brian Longbotham, having Alexis Amore show up at Sharkies to hint about sharking people and winning and this and that, and all sorts of shit that's just coming from everywhere, from all directions. And while I'm talking about Alexis Amore, I can literally rattle off probably 10,000 more women involved in doing the same types of things over the last 30 years. So it's not just Alexis Amore, but you get the idea. Brian Longbotham comes in my life, work with me at Universal Studios. We're going to make you mentally ill and kill you. And we're going to tell the world you committed all these crimes that don't exist. I think one of the things which is hard for me to believe was Brian Longbotham might have been telling everyone that I stole the Jurassic Park robotic dinosaur or something like that due to some of our conversations. But it's hard for me to believe that someone is that stupid to believe that Kevin Perlman walked into some studio that he never worked at, or I should say the timing's off. For example, the year that Jurassic Park was made, I wasn't near the Universal Studio lot, but even if I was, for one man to walk into a Universal Studio lot and steal an animatronic dinosaur is like, I would have to be like He-Man on steroids to lift this animatronic robot out of a studio lot and somehow walk it to a car would be like me trying to lift a frickin' car, right? But then again, according to Brian Longbotham and my family, I'm like the Incredible Hulk, and with split personality disorders, and when I change and get angry, I physically change into a mean monster and everyone's in danger. So, some of the stupidity being thrown out there about Kevin Perlman is just so absurd, it's hard for me to actually believe that people believe the shit they're saying. But, anyways, you get the idea. So all these events are connected. Now, how is Brian Longbotham connected to Tim Thompson, two people who have never spoke, or Mike Huntley connected to Brian Longbotham, or Alexis Amore connected to Brian Longbotham, or the manager down at the LA Spearmint Rhino connected to Tim Thompson, which actually is a lot. That one, you could say, well, maybe he knows him from Hot Body International, but you get the idea. All these people are all behind the scenes, connected behind my back when they play this game that they don't know each other, right? Now, all these operations are very similar. Kevin's a crazy, obsessed man stalking Alexis Amore, and he won't leave this girl alone, who sits there taking part in trolling Kevin Perlman and then saying Kevin Perlman's a troll, won't leave me alone. And then it just goes from person to person, whether it's girl, boy, job, environment, getting cars fixed at taking cars to mechanics and getting my car fixed, to every restaurant in the world of these provokings, and setup operations, every shopping center, you name it, right? So when you're starting to look at this situation, and almost every person on the planet is in an angry rage about something you're not even allowed to know what it's about, you get the idea that something strange is going on. Now, it's obvious that at this point in my life, after 29, after finding out that something is very wrong, or was very wrong with my life, it's obvious that after 29, it's not about what Kevin's done, it's about what Kevin knows about these people that were pretending to be my friends. These people, Brian Longbotham, Mike Huntley, Tom Farley, Paul Humphrey, Tim Thompson, you name it. Oh, Brian Weaver, Brian Longbotham, were not my friends. They were my jailers. And come 29, the backlash was amplified a millionfold, not because I did anything wrong, but because I started finding out things they didn't want me to find out. The Alexis Amore thing alone has literally gone on. I'm now 46 years old. She was working with Brian Longbotham. I think that was around 26 years old or something. That's 20 years. That's 20 years that Alexis Amore has invested in these trollings, in these Kevin's a crazy man who's obsessed with me, this and that. And I'm not going to tell you that... sorry, looking at weird traffic. I'm not going to tell you that, I'm trying to figure out how to word my thoughts because I just totally lost myself here. When your life becomes complete isolation watching a planet of people try to kill you, you sort of start to feed into, due to isolation and loneliness, you sort of start to feed into these patterns of behaviors because you can't get away from them. And so, while observing Alexis Amore over the last 20 years, it has gone on for 20 years, the same cycling pattern of behavior with her in mass groups. For example, people saying that I'm obsessed with her and I'm crazy and I won't leave her alone and I've abused her and done horrible things to her, none of which are true, like everyone else. While that's been going on for 20 years, at the same time I'm watching mass worldwide groups trying to manipulate me into going to see her at events, if that makes sense. So, for example, let's say Alexis Amore posts, I'm going to host this bar or club on this date and make an appearance. There'll be all sorts of subtweets and hidden messages directed towards me how I should man up and go and get my prize and things like this, right? At the same time, I'll be met with her little cryptic trolling behaviors to try to provoke me, and everyone else's little things to try to provoke me, to sort of keep me in that lonely state. And then we're going to try to get you to go here with these mixed messages, and then obviously you learn from your past. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is, if these people are trying to get me to go to these places, and my entire prior history with her, even though we're not friends, is these Kevin goes to the Spearmint Rhino to just go to the Spearmint Rhino, and he's stalking her Kevin goes to Adult Con and he's stalking her. And all of a sudden, people worldwide want me dead with these lies, smears, frame jobs, right? And then all of a sudden, the same people that want me dead go man up and go to where she's hosting. Well, doesn't that tell you anything you need to know? That they started in on me for all these years, and now they still want me to keep, or I should say, now they want me to pursue her, which in general is harmless because that's generally the way things normally work anyways. For example, hey everyone, I'm going to this strip club to dance. Everyone come here. Hey everyone, I'm going to this club to host. Meet me here, right? And people go. And most people aren't accused of being stalkers for that, but Kevin Perlman is, right? Do you understand what I'm coming from? So if I didn't do anything wrong in the beginning and there's a worldwide campaign to kill me saying I'm an obsessed crazy man that loves Alexis Amore and is obsessed and has no grasp on reality and this and that, now we want you to do it again so we can really fuck you over, right? Meanwhile, behind the scenes, all sorts of operations were going on with Rody Morales and the LAPD to pin murders on me, and Rody Morales trying to get murder confessions that I tried to kill someone, the very guy that wanted me to go to strip clubs, right? With 4 other people, starting at the age of 20, all working on me, right? So now, I guess the point I'm really getting at is if someone actually does like me, they're not going to have 100,000 people try to manipulate me to go somewhere and then say he's a stalker that won't leave me alone. They're going to fucking man up and go, Kevin, I like you, and meet me here, and let's go out to dinner or lunch or whatever, and not play games, fucked up psychotic murder games like that, right? So, you know, that's something I saw through back then in the mid-20s. But the fact that I've watched this for 20 years, this psychotic game of we're trying to help you, but we're really trying to set you up and rid you of the world, just keeps going forever. They never stop, right? And then their punishment tactic to try to brainwash me is to follow me around and whistle at me that I'm a whistleblower, and they were trying to help me to just keep working on me more and more to try to kill me, while making me think that they were trying to help me and I somehow wronged them for being crazies to begin with, right? I guess the point I'm getting at is someone has enough balls to fuck on camera 100 million times, get jizz on their face 100 million times on camera, and go from stage to stage. I can assure you is not a shy person and has a problem asking or talking to someone and asking someone out, and has to invest billions of government dollars to get you to try to get you to follow someone from place to place, right? Anyways, I'm completely exhausted on talking about this topic. So, and trust me, with just Alexis Amore, there's a million other things like this. And while Alexis Amore, I cannot tell you who she is. I can tell you that in the beginning I had a really good vibe about her when she was very professional, but after seeing all that shit, my perception has completely changed. She is interwound with all these freaky operations, and these operations aren't some little scam. They are NSA, FBI, government operations with billions of dollars. The things being done to me have nothing to do with women. They have nothing to do with my personality. They have nothing to do with Kevin Perlman being a puppy dog. They have to do with things that start at 5 years old and my family wanting to remove me from society with these labels. Whether it's based on control, we dictate your life and I don't do what they say, we kill you. I cannot answer those questions in specifics. But what I can say is that my life and what the world has been told has absolutely nothing to do with women, a girl, or anything of that nature. That is the cover-up operations or scams to try to discredit me, stop me from making money, stop me from making friends, stop me from talking, you name it. Has nothing to do. For example, the reason they're using women like Corey Bixby at 16 to say that I somehow harassed her when she asked me to drive her home is not because I did anything to Corey Bixby. It is because in order for them to gain control and let... So I'm just finishing this up really quick. The battery might be dead, I'm not sure, or I might be out of memory storage, but or maybe the sensor just got hot. I don't know. It's been recording for hours, but I'm exhausted, so I'm just going to finish this up. But I was just saying that this obviously isn't about women. These are about discrediting a person using women. And so Alexis Amore to me is a number because I got 100 million women as well as men all working on me, trying to destroy my name, reputation, credibility, you name it. But I kind of wanted people to understand the dynamics of how women are being used to try to make it look like I'm stalking them or following them. And it's always the mixed message game of little cryptic signals, or I like you, or I relate to you, here's an event, little hidden messages that I want you to show up, and then mass groups working with them going, he's a stalker and he won't leave this person alone. And then of course those people at the same time exert the same trolling, provoking tactics that has been used on me for 40 years, which now goes from person to person, constantly trying to provoke me, bait me, get a reaction to get me upset and angry so that the LAPD and mass groups can say that he's a angry, bitter, enraged, crazy man who is bipolar and seems like a really nice guy and then flips out and kills people, are all just dramatized fiction based on the most likely paid off creative writers my family and government and those working with them have hired over the last 40 years to smear my name and reputation. None of it is true. This thing how I'm really nice and then I go off and flip out and on women and things, it's not true. The only thing that's consistent is women trying to get me to flip out on them, trying to passive aggressively provoke me with worldwide groups to try to get those angry reactions. And there is a reason that it goes from one person sequentially after the next, is because it stops me from walking away from the abusive people. In other words, normally you meet someone abusive and you walk away. In my case, it doesn't matter how many people I walk away from, the next person in line is told to try to passive aggressively set me up to make it look like I'm a split personality, angry, rage, bipolar person, which the psychology community has been pitching since 5 years old, for whatever agenda they have, which apparently seems to be about removing me from society no matter what it takes, because it never stops. They never talk about the situations. I'm never allowed to talk about my side of the story. I'm told I'm imagining the whole thing, no matter how much proof on video I get. And once you start seeing those types of things, once you start seeing, hey, this guy has photographs of cars parked in twos 20 times per day, every single day of his life around his house, while people walk by and mimic his conversations, and this happens at every interaction and person worldwide to try to make him look like a violent paranoid schizo. Obviously there's some kind of government agenda to rid someone of the world starting at the age 5, where I start talking about these things. So that being said, you understand from this one event, Brian Longbotham, how it goes to Holly Body, to the show Holly Weird, to all these cryptic messages from person after person, to the cryptic messages with cars used to make me mentally ill, to the cryptic messages with people, stranger after stranger, mimicking everything I say and do back to me, to me constantly walking away and going to the next person, and then the police saying, you have abandonment issues with my father, and you keep going back to it when you can't get away from it. From restaurant to restaurant to restaurant to restaurant to restaurant to you name it. You get the idea. It's just coming from all directions with an agenda and a motive. And it's, like I said, it's not about a chick. And so from there you can derive that it's going from Tom Farley, Paul Humphrey, Brian Weaver, Brian Longbotham, all through my entire life. These are extermination operations. So anyways, I am sure I have a lot more to talk about with Brian Weaver, because he is a key player to when things got really bad for me. I mean, obviously from what I'm talking about, you can understand that they were always really bad for me, but once Brian Weaver started reeling me in, Brian Longbotham started reeling me into Universal Studios, Rick Caruso, these huge people with insane amounts of money with these setups and frame jobs. I'm going to say setup attempts and frame jobs. You understand that this is complete annihilation. This is like the nicest person. There's an ant, and this ant is walking down the street. This tiny little ant, and he's the nicest ant known to man, right? This harmless little ant is walking down the street. And someone in the government says, I don't like this ant. I don't trust this ant. I don't understand this ant. I think this tiny little ant is different. And so I don't understand this ant. So because we have fear from this tiny little ant, for the next 100 years, we're going to launch 100 nuclear missiles at this little ant crawling down the street per day, right? Now that would pretty much be equivalent with me, Kevin Perlman's life, and I was born, I'm breathing, have done nothing wrong, and I wake up and I find out, since 5 years old, the equivalent of like 100 nuclear missiles per day are launched at me, for reasons I cannot comprehend, by my own mother, father, brother, friends, my brother's friends, every police officer, government person, woman I've associated, male friend I've ever had, you name it. So anyways, I hope that's kind of enlightened you on the dynamics of these people who come in my life, befriend me, try to reel me in, follow me to places and then say I'm following him, like Kelly Hatch, you name it, which never stop, they never end, and the world is told the complete opposite on these secret propaganda systems built with internet technology around me to hunt, torture, and kill me no matter what it takes, or lock me in a cage or mental institution. There's basically the same things. My brother threatened me at 16 that they're going to put me in a mental institution in his little cryptic way. So anyways, I'm sure this is a long entry, so I hope you sit through all these and watch them and really start to understand and comprehend them, although they're probably pretty boring. But anyways, so until the next topic in the next couple of days, which will once again be with more of Brian Longbotham's operations. But this is just one of them, so you get the idea. So that's it.